Hi everyone at AOEU. Thank you for joining me. If you are just getting on to our live, welcome. I am so glad that you are here. And I am so excited to talk to our guest we have today. So as you join us on live, let us know where you're viewing from and maybe where you teach and what level. I'm going to come on. I'm so excited that everyone's here. And today I am really excited to talk to Shannon Lauffer. Before we get started with her, my name is Megan Dehner. I am the senior editor at the AOEU magazine. And so that means all the articles that you see on our site every day, I kind of help curate, and I also help with flex content. So for our curriculum. And I have been so excited to work with amazing people like Shannon Lauffer, who is here as the Dean of Admissions and Student Services for the Master's Degree Program at AOEU. And I'll let her talk a little bit about herself, but she is someone who is willing to do the hard things and also have hard conversations and do things that are scary. And so I thought she would be a really good person to talk to us all about this time of year being kind of a scary time of year, and also thinking about how 2020 threw everyone for a loop and what might be next. So Shannon, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. You connected beautifully. I'll let you introduce yourself, talk about your current position within AOEU, but also what led you to it and your past experience.
Yeah, for sure. So thanks for having me. My name is Shannon. I saw in the comments somebody from Indiana. Hello, I'm a Hoosier. So I am a former art teacher. I taught art to K through 12 students for almost 10 years. My background is visual arts and special education. So after teaching, I taught in a couple districts in New Jersey. I taught in Indianapolis public schools for a little bit. And then I came on full-time at AOEU. Back before it was a U, it was just an AOE.
Sure.
And I actually found AOE when I was teaching, and I took a lot of graduate courses, so I was a student as well. So that's kind of how I got to here. Now I oversee our admissions and student services, so helping prospective students that are interested in maybe earning a master's and jumping into something really hard, all the way through their graduation.
Awesome. So we're going to have a conversation and just a really interesting perspective on what it's like to dive into things that are starting a journey that might be hard. So Shannon, teachers are already embrace the hard things. We're experts at it. We try our best. We think of creative solutions. But do you think we get enough credit for doing the hard things, or do we even realize we're doing them?
So I think for a lot of teachers, we're kind of we're service oriented, right? So teaching and doing things for others, this really comes naturally to a lot of teachers. So we might not recognize that we're doing it ourselves. I think that teachers are really good. I think all educators, but art educators specifically, are wonderful at recognizing each other for doing the hard things. It's that idea of advocacy and community, and honoring, the great stuff that somebody else is doing. And I think the pandemic has put a big spotlight on the great work that teachers do. So I think that teachers right now are getting a lot of recognition that's long overdue, that they really deserved for so long. When all the kids came back home to learn from the living room and their bedrooms, I mean, that was such a revelation for so many people who don't know what it's like to teach children all.
Right.
But I think that this is really the plight of the teacher, is that sometimes that recognition isn't there. And I think sometimes we give into that too. I think it's sort of that idea of a fixed mindset versus a growth mindset. How do we see ourselves as experts, but also as people who can continue to learn? Teachers hear a lot of things, art teachers specifically, I think, hear a lot of stuff of like, oh my gosh, like, you're so good, like painting all day is so fun, you're so creative. And that pushes us into this fixed mindset. But if we see ourselves as people who can grow and learn, I think that we can dive into those harder things more easily.
Right. And with kind of the onset of the pandemic, we were all forced into something new, right? We didn't have a
Sure.
choice. And so sometimes even when we have to choose that harder thing, it's even more scary. So what seems the most difficult thing for students, teachers, and before they start something new and are actively choosing it, right? And I know that you are pursuing your doctorate right now. And so you've been in that mindset as you started your master's and then as you started your doctorate. What was the most difficult part of just starting the journey?
I think the hardest thing about starting something big, about, doing hard things, is seeing ourselves in it. It's so much easier to say, like, that's hard, I'm not doing it, than it is to say, like, it's so easy to opt out.
Right.
But to opt in, to see yourself in it and to say, like, I think that's something that I can actually do. To me, that's probably the hardest thing. So it's like building up the courage to say yes, building up what it is to like take that first step, whether that's applying to a program or like writing out a goal, a commitment to yourself. I would say that's the next big thing. And then overcoming the anxiety that goes along with, I don't know how it's going to play out.
Right.
So for me, starting a doctorate, it was like, what if I can't make it through? It's 4 years. What if if it's like, what will happen during my life over 4 years? What if I can't afford it? What if, my family life changes? All these things that kind of play in, all these anxieties that will point you to like, oh, I just won't.
No thanks. Right.
It's so easy to opt out in every single one of those moments. But if you can see yourself in it and say like, I can almost see myself at the end of it, I think that's how we can start getting that momentum going, to being able to buy into ourselves.
And I bet you didn't envision yourself being a doctorate student in the middle of 2020 with all of the things going on. And
well, it's crazy what a pandemic will make you do.
But you're still doing it, right? Like it's
Yeah.
nothing you had in your mindset of this might be a factor or might be a part of the experience, but I'm in the middle now and I'm
Right.
going to deal with it. And so
Exactly.
all the teachers, especially, we know how to be teachers and we can get in the mind of our students, right? We can think what that elementary school student is going to do with that glue stick and we just know. But
Right.
it's really hard for us in the hair, little lick. But it's really hard for us, especially if we've been out of the classroom as students ourselves, to put ourselves as the learner again. And so what's it really like being a student either at AOEU or for yourself? How do you balance it all in? How do people within AOEU's program fit it all in?
Mm-hmm. So I think the best thing that we...
Oh, she lagged a little bit.
I'm so sorry. I have a limit on my phone so that I don't spend so much time on my phone. I've reached the limit, but we can go over today.
Instagram will let you, you'll let it go over. Okay, right. Good. Thank you.
So, sorry.
Fit it all in. Yeah.
So thinking about fitting it all in. So I think the single best thing that we can do as teachers is to step back into learning. And this is something that I talked a lot about with prospective students and with students in our program, is if you want to teach effectively online, you have to know what it is to learn online. And the best way to do that is to enroll in a course or to sign up for a program that is entirely online. If you've never learned online, it's really hard to understand exactly what your students need so that they know the processes and the procedures and the expectations and all these different things. So what's it actually like to fit it all in? It is so hard. It's opting out of things that I would rather not opt out of. It's saying no to plans on Friday nights. It's waking up a couple hours earlier so that I can read or do homework. It's doing more work after I've worked a full day. It's working on the weekends. And all of that stuff is a bummer in the moment, but after my courses are 8 weeks, AOU courses are 8 weeks, after 8 weeks, it's like, oh, that was easy. Like in hindsight, that was just a little blip in time. So I think as you're thinking about fitting it all in, so whether this is a program or a course, or whether this is some other goal, I put together 6 things that I think will help. So the first one is making a plan and getting buy-in. So buy-in, if you have kids that are older, get buy-in from your kids. If you have a partner, get buy-in from your partner. If you have friends, let them know, get buy-in from them. Like after work, I work out. I can't go for happy hour.
Sure.
Or on Saturdays, I'm going to do homework. I can't do things on Saturdays. The next one is to create a schedule and actually stick to it. So today, after we hop off, I'm going to do homework. I'm going to write for 3 hours. And that's my schedule. Every Thursday, I write for 3 hours so that I can get my homework in on Sunday. The next one is to make space for yourself. So a lot of times teachers, I think women especially, we feel a lot of guilt around making time for ourselves. And to say, for example, to your kids, like, I can't do that for you. I can't hang out. I can't play. I have to do something for me. And a lot of times we feel really bad about doing that, but it's important to make space for yourself. You deserve that. You've earned that, and you're doing it to better yourself. The other one that's really important is to find pockets of time during your day. So when I was an AOEU student, I did my homework on my lunch and my prep. I would prep a bit in the morning because that was kind of like my listen to music, get hyped up. And then my lunch and my prep was homework time. So there was like an hour during my day that I was able to get homework in, not before, not after. And then the last one is to make your goals work for you. So find overlap. So something that I like to do is I can set a lot of my homework to like read it out loud to me. So I'll set it to read out loud to me while I hop on my exercise bike. Or so you're pairing a goal of like something I want to do with something that has to get done. And you can do this for anything. It can, be listening to a podcast while you work out. I really want to listen to this new podcast, work out for 60 minutes, check off that hard thing for the day.
Right.
So pairing something you want with something you have to do makes it a little bit more manageable and can help you find that time.
Right. If only we could listen to a podcast and also pay attention to our children.
Right. Everybody's listening to the podcast now.
No, but finding those little things that almost like time stealers,
Time stealing.
I know a big one for me is like my kind of whirling dervish cleaning hour I do on the weekends.
Yep.
I don't want to talk to anybody anyway, so I do take advantage of listening to something or reading. It's amazing what you can read while your kids are actually watching what they want to watch. It is really, there's little pockets of time that almost are like waiting to be found.
Absolutely.
And so as we think about doing things that are new and might have to adjust our routine, and we might have to get other people to work around us, which I know is a really hard thing for art teachers and women too, to ask people to adjust their schedules so that we can reach our goals. And new experiences and getting a master's or doing something new can often not only make other people adjust, but cost time and money. And so what advice do you have for students that are nervous about all the factors, like that nervousness, not necessarily like, oh, there's tactical things I could do, but what's the mindset?
So I think it's like, I feel like pandemic rhetoric right now is like, give yourself grace, but like really give yourself grace. It's going into something scary is knowing that on day one, you're not going to be an expert. You might actually be terrible. And also that would be okay. It's going to come with minor setbacks. It might even come with some major setbacks. So facing head on that, like, I am going to allow myself to fail if that's what comes with it. And knowing that just like all these things we teach our students, like, it's okay to fail. Like, the worst thing that will happen is like, okay, so I get a C on a paper. Like, I would be super bummed. And then I will work twice as hard next week and show up and get an A. So it's knowing that, like, that's inevitable. It's all kind of part of that learning process. Learning at any stage of your life is going to look like that. I also think that this is your chance to, like, dig deep and show determination. So this is sort of my mantra for my professional life, and has become, as I've grown and learned, sort of my mantra in my professional life, that like the single most important thing that will take me the furthest is gritty determination. That like, I am out to prove myself wrong and prove other people wrong. And like every negative self-talk, like I'm going to crush it. And that's kind of what keeps me going is knowing that when I'm doubting myself, like that's my motivation. I'm going to dig deeper. And just knowing that like when stuff feels hard, that's great. Like when everything feels easy and life is just easy breezy, like, yes, we need those moments. And like, I think right now we could all really use one of those moments. But when stuff is hard, that means that we're growing. It's like the little sprout coming through the crack in the dirt. It's hard, and we're going to get there, and it's going to be fine, and it's going to be better. So I think that's the mindset that we really have to adopt when we're feeling that anxiety and that nervousness really overwhelming us and putting us in that paralyzed mindset.
Right. And, you know, you mentioned like picturing yourself at the end, right? If you can picture yourself at the end, then go for it, right? But as you're reaching those goals, there's that, as you just talked about, that gritty middle, that in the midst of it, in the muck of it. So how do you celebrate those small victories, and what are they? You know, is it I showered today, or is it
I did celebrate that today in another meeting?
Small victories, you know. So how do they're worth celebrating. So what are they?
Self-proclaimed party girl. Celebration is like my favorite of all time. I'll use my program that I'm in right now as an example. My courses are 8 weeks long. Every Sunday when I turn in my homework, I celebrate. And that could look like, you know, I'm like, some weeks my celebration is like, I'm going to go to bed early. But other weeks it's like, I'm going to, you know, let myself get takeout, or I'm going to have, you know, whatever that is, whatever treating myself looks like. At the end of every 8 weeks, that's like a big step. That's not just a baby step that I took. You know, you look at X number of credits or this huge goal, like every significant goal on the way there is a big deal. So I will kind of set up my celebrations for those bigger goals at the beginning of my course. So I say at the end of 8 weeks, I'm going to go to a new restaurant, or, you know, spend a day in the park, or, you know, whatever that is. And I think, like you said, like seeing your future self, like that power of visualization, and like maybe a little hippy dippy, but like if you can see your future self on the other end, almost like cheering you on, like me in 4 years is going to be so dang proud of me right now, being like, after this, I'm going to write for 3 hours.
Right.
And so like, that's something that I think we need to do when we're doing anything hard. We have to be our biggest cheerleaders, and kind of going back to the beginning, like we're so good at cheering each other on. We're so good at lifting each other up and celebrating the community and the advocacy and art education. And like, we have to be able to do that for ourselves. So find out what that looks like for you. For me, it's thinking about older me, telling me like, go get it.
Right. Well, you'll have this little video as evidence.
Right. I'm going to tuck this in the back pocket. Come back to this in a week.
Right. To look back on and remember your old self and how proud. So, so right now, what's making you feel like you've won a little bit?
Right now, what makes me feel like I'm winning a little tiny bit is that I feel like in my role at the Art of Education University, I'm able to help other people see themselves the way that they see each other, or help other people see themselves like as their future self does. Helping people set those goals and see that they are attainable, whether that's, and that could be anything. That could be like, I'd have to renew my license this year. And that might feel really overwhelming. That's a huge deal. It's a lot of effort. It's a lot of work. And you can do it. You just got to get to the other end of it. So I think that's my little win right now, is that I'm able to work with other art teachers and help them see themselves the way that everybody should see themselves. It's like fulfilling that confidence, that go get them.
Well, you know, your confidence and your faith in all of us always shines through tremendously. So thank you for having this conversation with me and everyone else. You know, I feel like
Absolutely.
it was my own personal little like hype or pep talk, but I know that I wasn't alone. And so I know that a lot of people were watching, but maybe didn't get a chance to participate in the chat. I know I don't do a great job reaching out to our chat participants or viewers because I'm so excited about what I'm hearing about what Shannon was saying. So if you have anything to add to what Shannon said about ways to overcome that maybe anxiety or nervousness of starting something new, or if you are in a program that's post-bachelor's, how are you doing it? Feel free to drop that in. And thank you, Shannon, for joining us today. And if you missed out, you can join us on YouTube. This will be on YouTube forever, or
Awesome.
as long as it will,
Perpetuity.
on AOEU. And we also, on the magazine, have a lot of articles and relevant information about what it means to take that next step as a teacher, in your professional development and obtain a master's. So if you're interested or at all curious, find us on this site. And next week, I will be hosting another chat with a writer and also course participant, Janet Taylor, and she's going to talk to us about some myths of tab and choice, which I know is always a relevant topic within all of us art teachers. So thank you, Shannon, for joining us. Everyone have a great day, and we hope to see you again next week.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Megan. Thank you, everybody.
Bye,
for
Shannon.
tuning in.
Bye, everybody.